Sleep came surprisingly easy, all things considered, and it enveloped me like the void. I dreamt first of nothingness, starless expanses of cold, inner space. It was how I imagined death would be like, but I was vaguely aware of my existence, and couldn't feel my body, nor could I focus or gather my thoughts on any sensations at first. Then the scenery gradually became brighter as my dreamscape shifted to my own mansion in the void, the Nexus, replete with its simulated stone floors, walls of opaque void stuff, and many unexplored chambers. That unsettling presence was there too, though still unseen. I hadn't consciously traveled here in my sleep, had I? I turned around hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever was causing my unease, but not really expecting to see anything. Yet to my surprise, I saw that helpful, sentient mannequin from the massive closet from one of the many rooms in Nexus. No longer shy, it motioned for me to follow it towards the observation wall, which was translucent already, for no discernible reason. I didn't want to look outside of the walls of the Nexus, but my body moved on its own, as if I were merely a passenger. When I got close enough to see out of the window, I could see the moon and Earth. This was unusual because the void had no familiar planets or constellations. I put my hand on the wall, and as I was moving to do so, tears filled my eyes, and the mannequin moved closer. The moment my hand made contact with the window of the Nexus, it went through it, and at that moment, the mannequin pushed me out. I couldn't scream, not in anger, nor out of shock, but the moment my body was fully out, I began to float towards the Earth. A chorus, much different than what I'd heard when I was really in the Nexus, began a mournful wail of synchronizing voices, rising and falling, only to rise louder each time, resonating and creating dissonances here and there. In moments, I was rocketing towards the Earth, another moment or two before I would reach orbit. My body looked behind me, toward where I was falling from, and by all that's holy, I'll never forget what I saw: countless figures, all with wings of light and cascades of hyperluminescent sparks of various colors and size, all circling a portal of light so serene and comforting, that the fact I was being forced out made me weep bitterly. The biggest and brightest of these angels tore through space at unfathomable speeds, trying to catch me. Only, though I seemed to be seeing this all happen in first person, I began to realize that this was no longer a dream, but a memory that clearly wasn't mine. With a flexing and clenching of fists, purplish-violet jets of hot plasma unfurled from my back and propelled me at insane speeds, through asteroids and debris strewn about the outskirts of Earth's orbit. I felt the sting of mineral-laden boulders shattering and splitting apart against my near-indestructible face and body. All I could think, as radiation tingled and danced over my body, was holy crap, what the no freaking way. And yes, I almost laughed when typing that. I looked back again, the chorus getting quieter as I approached the thermosphere, but now I could see the faces of the Council of Archangels hunting me. As sparks stream across my skin, I finally see that the Archangels are carrying an unconscious form in their arms. Colcifer. It was Colcifer. I felt my mouth begin to open, and 3 balefully harmonic tones erupted from it, emanating from my entire being as I focused on the Archangel Gabriel, the one holding my dearest friend. Surprise flashed across the faces of the Archangels, as Gabriel's entire upper body erupted into a cluster of luminous explosions. The damage would put him out of the fight for a while, but more importantly, this caused him to drop Colcifer. That name. That's not her name. What had they done to her name? I cried out in vain. I knew they had me beat. But somehow I knew there was someone left which I had to protect. A mortal woman carrying my child. I loved her in a manner which the Lord forbade. Weaving a spell to halt my momentum, and save it as stored kinetic energy, I held it in my left hand. With another massive drain of angelic power, and a wave of my right hand, I wrapped the fabric of space around Jegadiel and Michael, sending them far away, back to the mouth of the celestial gate. Raphael closed the gap between us quickly, catching the full force of the saved momentum in my left fist, rendering him unconscious and sending him flying into the moon. The archangels in sight were Uriel and Azrael, truly the last angels I'd ever hoped to find myself up against. "Hold him, Uriel," Azrael said without anger in his voice. I attempted to use my wings, but they were barely wisps of energy now, propelling me weakly as Uriel utilized his own massive wings to bind and silence me. Azrael smiled sadly at me. Then I awoke in my bed, soaked in sweat, getting an earful of the universally dreaded 6 a.m. alarm. All right, I'm up," I shouted at the alarm. Glancing at Sandy's empty spot on the bed, I wanted nothing more than to sit for an hour and marvel at that intense fever dream BS on crack that I had just suffered through for the past 7 hours. You know what? Scratch that. I can think of 2 things I want more: a nice, hot jumbo-sized mug of heavenly coffee, and a slice of fresh pie. Maybe if I hurry up and get dressed, I'll have enough time to drop at my favorite coffee shop before going to school. "Babe, you still home?" I called out, then waited. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. No reply. She'd left a bit earlier than usual today, so I decided to check our little bulletin board in our dining room. Immediately upon entering the dining room, I saw a yellow demon with blue thorns covering its body. "Demon, hello, John. I've come to," I interrupted. "No, get out." "Demon, but you haven't heard what, John? I said get out of here with your BS. Today's not the day." Colcifer. Sparkles. I kid you not. Rainbow sparkles enveloped the grotesque form in front of me, obscuring it completely. When the sparkles faded from existence, in all her glory, Colcifer sat chuckling, "Ha ha ha. I mean, aw, you must have gotten up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Ah, I don't really care. Come on now, Johnny boy. We've got some arcane practice and rigorous studying to do." I grabbed Sandy's note from the bulletin board and seriously thought about ignoring the sinfully gorgeous and extremely dangerous fallen angel sitting at my dining table, but decided it was better to give a polite but firm reply. "After work, we'll have time to practice spells and other arcane stuff. We'll talk more then." She crossed her arms and pretended to pout. Whatever. I was going to elaborate on what type of slimy, dreadful, nightmarish creature tried to lay a finger on your waifu, but if that's the attitude you want to go with, she got me with that one. "Thanks. Geez, thanks already. I can spare a minute, but I don't want to be late for work." She appeared behind me and snatched the note, reading it out loud in a mockingly sweet voice. "Good morning, John Bunn. You had some wild dreams last night, and you were mumbling names in your sleep. I hope you're feeling better this morning. Lots of love. Your Sandy Bunn." I blushed a bit. Well, more than a bit. "Could you please just tell me what tried to attack her?" "Sure I can," she said, crumpling up the note and disintegrating it. "A Dread Scout. Not even on par with a Dread Soldier of the Dark. Nameless ones." "Oh, sure. We have names for them, but to give something a name is to add to its power. The Dread Ones, agents of the gloom. The Devourers. Even just a scout boasts agelessness, serious durability, and literally eats demons for breakfast. Its raw strength is comparable to my own, even in arcane magics, though lacking my style, finesse, and not possessing the capacity for critical thought. If this Dread Scout had tried to attack Sandy, it would have left more than a mark. These things, they feed off of nightmares, even when they aren't in your dimension. They cause and complicate symptoms of depression, and feed off of the little bits of human souls that come loose during intense moments of suffering. They're likely behind more than a few major wars, though they try to keep a low profile, as that kind of attention draws the ire of the Lord and his army of angels. who fight and kill like loyal, unquestioning, and self-sacrificial dogs, all in the service of their selfish god, for his glory and for his sick satisfaction. Of course, somebody has to protect the humans. Anyway, the thing was seemingly collecting information, which means that you'll need to be on guard, Johnny boy. Full alert. She's safe, but you? They don't need to wait 9 months to deal with you. And they might have an idea about what we're getting up to. Though it was a lot to process, I understood the gravity of what she told me. Just then, the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and my pulse quickened. I felt danger all around, but only saw Colcifer standing there, grinning sadistically. Hey Colcifer, what gives? I saw her image flicker for an instant, and instinctively I switched on my second sight, now seeing that what was in front of me was only an illusion. Before I could react, I felt a series of taps all over my body, coming at me from every angle, each tap becoming sharper than the next. What the hell is this? I yelled out, spinning around, but never seeing more than a blur here and there. Dodging seemed impossible, and the taps had turned into solid thumps, building in intensity. I focused on trying to speed up my perception, not even sure if that was possible. As I struggled to focus, the thumps seemed to come more slowly. No, not thumping anymore. Punches. Playful punches from all over began pushing me from where I was standing. What are you gonna do about it, John? Growled a distorted voice, seemingly coming from everywhere and nowhere. By now, it was like being punched by a crowd of 10-year-olds, but now I could just about predict where the next blows would land. I don't have time for this. I channeled some arcane energy into a punch where the next blow should have landed, and swung right where the blur should have been. Erg! I hit only air, and instead, with one final strike, Colcifer had knocked the wind right out of me, and I sank to my knees. Oh, you bet I am so gonna get you back for this. Colcifer stopped her assault, and picked me up off the ground. You performed slightly better than expected, and yet you still failed to dodge that last attack. You failed to impress me, and if you can't impress me, what chance do you have against soul-thirsty, eldritch void rulers? They won't start with love taps. They won't give you tactical openings like I did. I took her hands off of me and grabbed my car keys. Yeah, thanks for that. You're too kind. I'm heading to school now. I was nearly to the door when she grabbed me, spun me around and pinned me to the wall. Pucker up, John, she purred, just before kissing me deeply. MMNNF. As I was about to push her off of me, a pulse of sickening energy flowed from her mouth into my very being, and when she pulled away, I screamed. I was shaking, and thoughts of dark specters, demons, and the enormity of my sanity-rending task stretched out before me. Suddenly, 9 months seemed like 9 days, for all the struggle I had yet to overcome. She gave my fear back. Her appearance diminished visibly, appearing smaller somehow, less vibrant. Colcifer had slammed my fear back into me. Not even for 2 whole minutes, and I could already feel the weight of hopelessness causing my heart to flutter. She quickly placed her hands to either side of my head, and with a body-wide tugging sensation, the sickening energy shot out of me, back into Colcifer. Her countenance was restored in an instant, and she seemed to glow momentarily. I'm sure you've realized what happened just now, but I'll confirm your theories now. Yes, I have your fear. And the next time we train, you'll do so with all of that fear. It's a part of you, and you're mystically weaker without it. I'm looking forward to our next lesson together. She disappeared in a clap of muted thunder, and I got in my car, hoping I would make it to school in time. She wants me to impress her? I think I have just the right thing. She'll get a taste of her own medicine. Anyway, that's all for now. I gotta get to work, but I'll keep you all updated. Thanks for following my journey so far. As always, it never hurts to make certain that those shadows in the corner of your bedroom are in fact just shadows.